Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and this is an episode of Wednesday Wrestling Wrap Up, where we cover all the Wednesday wrestling shows, specifically Ring of Honor, TNA Impact Wrestling, Lucha Underground, and NXT. Let's jump right into it with the negatives of the night. First from Lucha Underground, Mac versus Cage. I thought it was boring, lumbering match. Mac picks up the win. I don't know, something about these two separately. I think they're great wrestlers. I like Mac, or formerly known as Willie Mac, a lot. I think of a lot of stuff he does in PWG as well as Cage. A lot of stuff they do in PWG is very good, and some of the stuff that we've seen even in Lucha Underground has been very good. But I just don't think their chemistry meshes well. Next up from Impact Wrestling, we had Matt Hardy, who was put into a 2-on-1 match against the Dirty Heels by Ethan Carter III. Dirty Heels pick up the win. It just seems silly. It seems silly for Ethan Carter to be starting a bunch of feuds with different people, including Matt Hardy. I don't know. To me, it just was a silly match that had no real reason for it other than to take time. Coming from that, we're going to jump into the worst match of the night. Also coming from the land of TNA, unfortunately, we had Tyrus versus Bobby Lashley. Much like I said with Mac versus Cage, these were two lumbering big guys who didn't put on a great match altogether. We're almost a year out at this point, and it's still really hard for me to separate Tyrus, the Monster Enforcer, from Brodus Clay, the Dancing Dinosaur. And Bobby Lashley's in and out of TNA so often, fulfilling his MMA career, which kudos to him, do what you gotta do. He doesn't feel special. It's not like Brock Lesnar, who disappears and comes back and it feels special. They don't make it feel special when Lashley is there. They just make him another part of the roster. They should do a lot more to make him, just like Brock, a special attraction. But anyway, just a boring match. Lashley picks up the win. Coming from that, we're going to jump right into our question of the week. Last week's question was, has your... Let me start that over. Out of the 4 shows, who has your favorite theme song? Now, we got some answers here from our friends. First is from Sonny the Green Arc. My favorite theme is Kevin Owens's. Next is from Mike Kirwan. I love Finn Balor's theme. It really suits his demon gimmick, and who doesn't love his entrance? Next is from our friend Christian. The best theme song is from Finn Balor, the new NXT champion. Well, you just gave out a spoiler for our show, but everybody already knows that anyway. Personally, my favorite, and those are 2 fantastic songs that you 3 have picked, I really rather enjoy, there's 2 of them that I've been fighting back and forth with. From Ring of Honor, Red Dragon song I really love, but just a little bit above it because it's more of a wrestling theme, almost an old school wrestling theme, harkening back to the days of the Honky Tonk Man or Demolition or Dusty Rhodes, where the theme was fit to the wrestler, and that's EC3's theme music, the whole trouble, 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 trouble. I love it. I think it fits him so well. It fits his character perfectly. I think it adds to him, which is something the theme song should do, much like Finn Balor's does, much like Kevin Owens's does. I just think it's more personal. Like, you could take Kevin Owens' theme song and put it on anybody else, and it's still a good theme song. You could take Finn Balor's theme song and put it on somebody else. Like I said, I like the aspect that EC3's theme song seems to be only for him and nobody else. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go into our question of the week for this week. Out of all the championships defended on the 4 shows, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, Who has the coolest looking belt? Which championship do you think is coolest looking? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter. Put it down where? Down there in the comment box. And make sure you hit like and share while you're at it as well. Now, coming from that, we're going to jump right into the positive sections of the night. First up, from Ring of Honor, we had The Kingdom, Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, and Adam Cole versus Michael Elgin and the aforementioned Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. Elgin and Red Dragon pick up the win. We start to see more of a foreshadowing of the Kingdom splitting up with Adam Cole. After the match, Adam Cole wants to shake hands with the Elgin and Red Dragon, where the rest of the Kingdom wants to walk away. I kind of like it. I like where they're going with it. Adam Cole becoming a babyface once again. It just fits too well. He's too light. Too many people want to cheer him, so make him a babyface. Taven and Bennett, on the other hand, work great as heels, especially in Ring of Honor, where the fans want to boo them. So it works well to get him a little bit away from the group. Maybe go forward with the Kingdom being just a tag team. Now, coming from that, from Lucha Underground, we have Mil Muerte versus Son of Havoc. I thought this was a fantastic match with two different styles matching up with each other. We've seen a little bit of Son of Havoc and the Disciples of Death, or whatever their three-man group that is running with Mil Muerte and Katrina is, or they're going to be coming from Son of Havoc and Angelico and Evilise's six-man title, or trios title as they call it. I thought this was a great match. I thought Mil Muerte, to me, he's one of the most intriguing and interesting characters on the show. You know, he's a guy, not to give too much away, that I've enjoyed in TNA and what I've seen of him in AAA, and even way back to the Wrestling Society X days. I've always thought he was a good wrestler. With this gimmick, it works really good with him. I think it fits his personality, his size, his ability. I thought this was a great match, just a great show of two totally different styles going up against each other. Now, next up, from TNA, we have EC3 defending his world championship against three different people in one night. First versus Nora Furnham, who was, if you remember back, the first guy that EC3 wrestled on TNA. So it's kind of harkening back to his beginnings. Next up is Shark Boy, after he makes easy work of Norv. Makes easy work of Shark Boy, gets ready to call. His third person is interrupted by Kurt Angle, who sets up the third match, will be the rematch for the title, which happens later on in the night. Kurt Angle has the ankle locked in. EC3 hits the ref, gets himself purposely disqualified, not to lose the championship. I love what they're doing with Ethan Carter III. I think it's perfect. I think he's a great heel. He's one of the true highlights of TNA wrestling, in my opinion, of Impact Wrestling, whether it be in the ring or in the promos. I like what they're doing with him. I mean, even being with Tyrus, who I told you earlier I can't take seriously, he comes out, he shines. He shines in the area, and he sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's amazing you give a guy like him an opportunity who's ready for it, what they can do and how good they can look. Now, coming from that, we're going to go into our promo from the night. This one comes from Lucha Underground. We had Vampiro taking a sit-down interview with Pentagon Jr. We've seen in recent weeks Vampiro stop Pentagon from injuring Sexy Star. We've seen a little bit of the back and forth. Vampiro saying, hey, I'm retired. He apologizes to Pentagon for getting into his business. Here's why it was such a great promo. Pentagon Jr. has such a presence that he did the entire promo in Spanish, which is a language I do not understand. And I could feel everything he conveyed. Even without the subtitles, even if I looked at it without reading what it said. I knew what he was saying, I knew why he was saying it, and I understood that he was trying to go Vampiro into a match. Vampiro almost bit a couple times, and even later on the night, we see Pentagon attack Vampiro, which hopefully is going to lead to something at Ultima Lucha between the two. I like how they're building this. I love what they did with this. Best promo of the night goes for a promo that was mostly spoken Spanish. That's how good he was in conveying his desire to destroy Vampiro, his capabilities, and everything about that. I could feel exactly what he felt. And that's a great promo right there. No matter what they say, if you could feel what they're trying to convey, it's a great promo. Now, our match of the night comes to us from NXT. It's kind of a little bit of a cheat because it comes from the Saturday morning special, Beast from the East. Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens for the NXT Championship. From Japan, we see Finn Balor with all the pageantry, all what we would expect from a Japanese wrestling match. Take Kevin Owens to the limit and take Kevin Owens' NXT Championship to become the new NXT Champion. Of course, Kevin Owens is going to go to the main roster permanently now. That's exactly why this was done. It did not make the match less special. It didn't make the atmosphere less special. It doesn't make the fact that a guy like Finn Balor is the NXT Champion less special. The whole thing, the whole vibe of it, everything about it, was the second time I watched it. I actually got up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to watch it live. And watching it again, it was just as good and just as fun the second time around. Just a great match between two great competitors. Now, coming from that, we're going to jump right into our show of the week. For this week, I'm going with Lucha Underground. We had strong showings from the promos with Vampiro and Pentagon. We had the matches with Mil Muerte and Son of Havoc. A couple other good matches on the show. To me, it was a show that stood out. Lucha Underground took the night, in my opinion, against some very strong competition. All the shows, TNA put on a good show, Ring of Honor put on a good show, Lucha Underground put on a good show, and NXT put on a good show. So on a night when all four shows were good, Lucha Underground was just a step above. And I think it was a show of the night, and definitely the promotion that stood out the most and had the most fun, was the most fun to watch. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Wednesday Wrestling Wrap-Up.